What are you looking at, dude?
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Christine. So today I'm bringing to you guys a massive sponge review video. These are all the sponges that I have in my collection. I have sponges that I ordered from Target, Ulta, Sephora, Amazon, Aliexpress. I also asked you guys on my Instagram stories what your guys' favorite beauty sponges were. I compiled a list and then went to the store and bought all of them. Every single sponge that I have here, I have used 4 or 5 times minimum, so I have a really good idea of how these sponges apply makeup, how they wash. So I hope you guys find this video helpful. It is highly anticipated, so thank you so much for your patience. If you guys are interested in seeing all the sponges in my collection and my review on them, first make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and the little notification bell so you don't miss another video from me. I have lots more exciting videos coming soon, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Also, this makeup is a little bit outside the box for me. I was kind of playing around with makeup beforehand. This is my look. Let me know down below if you guys like it. I know some of you guys don't wear false lashes all the time. Some of you guys just don't even wear false lashes. So I'm trying to incorporate more of those looks into my channel. So let me know if you guys like the no lashes look. So starting off, I have so many sponges here that I'm only gonna name my like top 10 in the order that I like everything, and then kind of just name off the rest of the sponges in my collection in no particular order, just because ordering like 40 sponges wouldn't really make sense. For me, it is so annoying when a sponge is like soft, but when you wash it, it like doesn't bounce back as fast, so it kind of takes a long time to wash it, and then my hand gets kind of tired. I just have so many sponges that I love that I like don't want to settle for a sponge that sucks to wash, you know what I mean? Then I also take into account how much it costs. Is the sponge worth the money that it is? Okay, so here we have my favorite sponges of all time. I did do a sponge review video, I think almost a year now. Going back and watching it, I was almost like cringing because of how awkward I was in front of the camera. If you guys have the patience and want to check out that video, I also reviewed a lot of the sponges that I had in my collection back then. I still have a few left in my collection, but I did toss or give away some of the ones that I didn't really love or work out for me. In my original video, I actually showed you guys like how it applied makeup on camera, but since we don't have enough sponges, so I actually meant the exact opposite of what I said. Clearly we have enough sponges, and I meant to say we have too many sponges. And I only have my one face. I'm not going to be doing that today, so I'm just going to quickly talk about everything. You guys can trust my opinion. We'll start with my number 10. This is a Real Technique sponge. Everyone talks about this, and for good reason. I feel like it is just a great sponge. You can find it in almost every single drugstore. The reason why it is number 10 is this used to be one of my favorite sponges, but I feel like recently whenever I've gone to pick up Real Technique sponges, the quality has been kind of all over the place. Sometimes I'll get one that it's like really dense and hard. The quality just doesn't seem consistent enough for me, so for that reason, I think it is lower on my favorites list. I also have other sponges that I actually reach for a lot more often when I am applying my makeup. Also, we have a friend here. Her name is Juicy. Brandon and I are dog sitting for his mom, and Juicy's a little Prom, Juice, and she's like the neediest little pup ever. My 9th favorite sponge is this Morphe sponge. Morphe has 2 different sponges. This one is called the Highlight and Contour Sponge. This one is my favorite of the 2. I think the other Morphe sponge is total ass. This sponge is my favorite of the 2. I think the other one, I don't know if I just got a really bad one, but when I was rinsing it out, there was like this orange dye that was coming out of it. And I only recently threw away that sponge, but I probably had it for about a year. And every time I washed it, it still had like a bright orange dye. That one also wasn't as soft and squishy as this one is, so get this one. Compared to both of these, the Real Techniques is softer, but this one is much more bouncy. Like this one just feels more dense to me. Easy to wash, doesn't give me any trouble, so really like this one. My next favorite sponge is this one. This is from shopmissae.com. It's like a makeup website where everything on their site is a $1, which is like insane. Some of their products are actually really good, but I would highly recommend getting these makeup sponges. I think these ones were $1.55. I bought this one about a year ago, and since then I went on their website and it looks like they rebranded, so I don't know if it's the same exact sponge. I would just check out the description, make sure it says like ultra soft blending sponge. This is how crazy I am. I actually bought all 3 of the shapes, and these 2 are not as soft and bouncy as this one. In my opinion, I think this one is the best. I don't know what it is, or if it's just like the one that I have. If you were to just hop on their website and buy like 20 of them to get free shipping. I think it's totally worth. Then we have number 6. This is a Beauty Blender. If you were to buy a high-end sponge, I think the black Beauty Blender is worth. I haven't tried any of the other colors, but this one I have kept in my collection for a really, really long time. The reason why I like this one better than the last 3 that I talked about is this one is so incredibly easy to wash. It just bounces back so fast, and like it's a little bit more porous than the last 2 sponges that I talked about. Actually, don't mind it because when it's blending out my makeup, it doesn't affect how the makeup looks. Also, if you guys don't know, I have talked about it in a couple of videos, but I wash my sponges using Zote laundry soap, and it's like a $1 sponge that you can find in the laundry section of Walmart. I love that soap. I use it to clean all of my sponges and brushes. I'm on to like my 3rd one now, so I would just take this, rub it in my Zote soap, squish it underwater a couple times, and it's already clean. I have other sponges where I feel like I'm under the sink for like 15 minutes going like this, trying to get it clean. Is it worth $20? I don't know. I pick it up whenever it is on sale, and I think it's just good to have a beauty blender in your collections. I usually use my sponges around 2 to 3 times, and then I'll wash it because I don't want to keep using my sponges too often. They just get gross. I have seen so many horror stories. I've had my own sponges get really moldy because I keep them for too long without washing them. Wash your sponges. My next favorite that I like more than the Beauty Blender is the sponge from e.l.f. You can see the e.l.f. one actually is a little bit more porous than the Beauty Blender is. When I first got this, I wasn't crazy about it. If you bounce out your makeup for a little bit longer, it blends everything out. When you have it under the sink as well, it actually gets really, really big, and I feel like this is a really good size. It's also so easy to wash, and this is $4, which compared to the Beauty Blender, like you can buy 5 of these for the price of this. So if you want to save a little bit of money, this e.l.f. sponge is really, really good. Next, I have this one from Water Beauty. I haven't ran it under the sink yet. So this is what it looks like full size, and it is quite a bit bigger than it was earlier. I love this sponge. It is so soft. It is really smooth and blends out my makeup so flawlessly. There was a point where I was using this sponge religiously for like a month. It's just like the perfect texture. The only reason why it's lower on my list is because it's a little bit more expensive than my other ones that I will talk about. This one is $12. I think it's absolutely worth it. Next up, we have 3 sponges that look identical, but luckily I kept all the original packaging that came when I ordered the sponges, so I can like differentiate between the 3. Okay, so these 2 are, in my opinion, the exact same. This one is from Amazon, and it is in a 4-pack that I ordered. I talked about this in my original sponge video, or you can buy this one separately for $8. But if you want to get the same exact thing, this one is $1.50 on Aliexpress. I will link all the sponges down below, but like the difference between both of these, $1.50, $7. The only thing about Aliexpress, if you guys have never ordered from there before, is everything takes a really long time to get to you because things are shipping directly from China. They're $1.50. They're amazing. One of the best sponges I've ever tried. Like, it is top 4 for me. Really like the sponge. It blends my makeup so beautifully, so quickly. It is really smooth and not really porous at all. This one from Aliexpress, it has even smaller pores than the Beauty Blender does. I just find that this one blends out my makeup more smoothly and quickly than the Beauty Blender does. It also cleans really easily. The Beauty Blender does bounce back a little bit quicker, but like in the grand scheme of things, $1.50 versus $20. When I ordered it from Aliexpress, it took about 30 days to get to me. This one, if you don't mind waiting, is absolutely worth $1.50. This one, if you want to get it right away off Amazon, it's $8, and you can get it with Amazon Prime. This one from Aliexpress also comes in a white color, so if you wanted to get like a really cute white color, you totally can. And this is the original packaging that it comes in. For $1.50, this is amazing. I highly recommend. You can get either of the colors, and I think both the black and the white are like the exact same. My favorite sponge out of my whole entire collection is $3. Also from Aliexpress. This is pretty much everything that the Black Beauty Blender is, but it is softer, smoother. It has like no pores. This is the packaging that it comes in. The O2 ones are like shorty fat ones, so you can tell that there's a difference in the shape, and I don't know if you can tell like the bounciness. Wow, that's so satisfying. This one is slightly more bouncier. The O2 ones are just a little bit more dense. This one is just like a cloud applying makeup on your face. The best sponge I've ever tried, and it is only $3. Okay, next we will talk about my least favorite sponges. So in here we have the Juno & Co. sponges. I don't know what the rave about all these is because I tried these and I hated them. I wanted so bad to make them work. I've tried them out with BB creams, watery foundations, matte foundations, and I hate these. The microfibers on it just make it feel like it is a super dry sponge. I don't know if you guys have ever tried blending out your makeup with a dry sponge, but it is like the ickiest, worst feeling ever. It's also just like not effective for giving me that like natural skin look. So these just make my makeup look cakey. I don't like the shape of this at all. Like, what am I gonna do with like a blunt tip? This one is advertised on Juno & Co.'s website as being like the softer sponge. I don't particularly notice a difference. Like, it is slightly softer. I just don't like them. It makes my makeup look cakey and I will not be repurchasing. So my camera kept glitching and it shut off while I was talking about these sponges, but I got this one from Aliexpress from the brand O2 as well, thinking it would be a dupe for my Juno & Co. one, but when I washed it, all the microfibers fell off of it. Two of these compared, this one just looks like the cheap doppelganger that tried. Brandon, my ex. The funny thing about this one is that even though this tried to be a dupe for this, the only reason why I like it better is because you can't really tell that there are microfibers on it. I wouldn't recommend buying this sponge. There's so many better sponges that you can buy. This one I also really did not like. I got it on AliExpress for 84 cents. This one I just didn't like because it is like so dense. When I squeezed it, it took like 15 minutes to expand into its full shape. So it took ridiculously long to wash. It's hard. I just don't like it. Next ones, we shall talk about like mediocre sponges / sponges that I liked. These aren't necessarily bad sponges. They just didn't make the cut. I literally got these today, so I haven't even had the chance to play with them, but I wanted to give them an honorable mention because I can tell by the softness of them and the density that I will really like these. For $12, you can get a really high quality sponge. It reminds me a lot of the Wander Beauty texture. Like, the texture is very similar. For some reason, this one just like really bothers me. My next two that I want to review are these ones from EcoTools. I actually tested them in my original sponge video and I hated it. I tossed it. This one is original. This one is the newer one that they just came out with, and this one has, I think it's like antibacterial or something like that. Honestly, the two of them are very similar. This one feels slightly softer, so if this one is in stock, I would recommend getting this one over this one. The only reason why I don't like these is the shape of it is like not that great. I just don't like using the flat edge to blend out my concealer because I feel like it kind of lifts up my makeup sometimes. I wish the shape of these sponges were different because I would like them so much more. I think they're really soft. They are a little bit more porous than some of my other sponges that I have, but these ones are, get out. As far as like washability, these are really great. They're really bouncy and easy to wash. They are slightly denser than like my favorite Commission sponge. First got it and I wet it under the sink. I was like, these things are rocks. Why do people even like these? But the number one thing that I found is that when you wash out your sponges, they kind of loosen up and get so much softer. So all of my sponges, before I even use them, I rub them in my Zote soap, rinse them under really hot water, and then they loosened up, and then from there tested out the sponges. So whenever you get a sponge and you first impression don't really like it, try washing it with soap and really hot water and it'll really loosen up. After I washed these, they loosened up so much, and it is a texture that is actually like of a sponge that I would actually like. And if you like the flat tips of sponges, you would really like these. The next ones that I mentioned earlier were these ones from Shop Missy. These ones are really great, but for some reason, they just have been lifting up my makeup, so I haven't been reaching for them as often. They didn't always do that, so again, I don't know if it's just because they are too wet when I use them. The texture of them is really great, but I would highly recommend getting the other shape. A next honorable mention is this Pure Cosmetic sponge. I just got this one not that long ago. I like it, but it is a little bit denser than I would like, and it also takes a long time for me to wash. I think on their website it is $12, so I think it's a good price, and the shape of it is nice as well, but it's just a little bit too dense for my liking. This one by L'Oreal, you guys have seen this everywhere, and the reason why it looks so small is because it is completely dry. This one used to be a holy grail sponge for me, but it kind of takes a long time to wash because when you squeeze it, like look, it like takes a long time to get back into its shape. I'll probably toss it after this video, but I wanted to show you guys. Every time I have the sponge, this is like my second one, My first one that I got too, after I used it like 3 or 4 times, it took so long to get back to its shape that it was annoying to wash and I just didn't reach for it as often. This one is really bouncy, really soft, and the texture of it is really great. So I actually really enjoyed blending out my makeup with this, but again, it just kind of sucks to wash. Another sponge that I really enjoyed is this Wet n Wild sponge. So many people rave about this as like their favorite sponge ever. I really enjoyed it, but it is a little bit porous. It reminds me a lot of the e.l.f. sponge. The e.l.f. sponge actually has even larger pores, but for some reason this one just blends out my makeup more seamlessly and more flawlessly than this one did. Sometimes when I used it, it lifted up my makeup. For that reason, I don't really like this sponge. I would just recommend picking up the e.l.f. sponge. Another one that I really like is this Flower Beauty sponge. It's a little bit pricier for the drugstore. The only thing that I didn't love about this is the shape of it is kind of like wonky. It just isn't that sharp of a tip, so when I went in to blend my under eyes, it was kind of hard to get the precision. And it recently too has been kind of taking a long time for me to wash, so I don't know if it's just because I've had it for too long. While I had this, I really enjoyed it. The texture of it is really nice, and this one has probably got to be the softest drugstore sponge that I have. This one is dry right now. When you run it under water, it just blows up into a really big sponge, and it's so plush and soft. The shape of it, you know, like that's a big factor to me. I'd rather spend $4 or $5 on the e.l.f. sponge or even the Morphe sponge, you know what I mean? So we also have an honorable mention to the BeautyBlender. This one is dry right now, so you don't have the full size. I enjoyed this. I think the black one is better. If you were to spend any money, get the black one. This one just has bigger pores, so it kind of takes a longer amount of time for me to get like a flawless base. This SONIA KASHUK one I was using for a really long time, but I feel like it's kind of unnecessarily big. So if you like sponges, you will really like the sponge. This is the size of it, like blown up. This is my EcoTools sponge, but the one thing that I did like about the size is when I blended out my foundation, it took like 6 pats and it blended out my whole face. Since it is so big, it is like the biggest pain in the ass to wash. Really have to like scrub it in my Zote soap, and then really like I have to use 2 hands to squeeze it. While I was using it, I really enjoyed it. Next, I have these little sponges from Real Techniques. I bought these because I thought they were so freaking cute, but do I use these? Not really. I just find that they are so small that sometimes when I blend out my concealer, they absorb so much product that it gets to a point where they are filled with product and it's hard for me to blend out the product, if that makes sense. If I'm gonna blend out my under eyes, I would rather use a bigger sponge and get the job done quicker. These are really great if you want to pack it in your bag and like be able to do your makeup on the go. Also, I did kind of a fun thing on my Instagram stories. I asked you guys what you thought this big box of sponges was worth. One girl said $50. We have $34. It's very specific. All valid guesses, but let's just add everything up for fun. This one is my O2 sponge. I have 2 of them and they're each $1.50, so that is $3. That is the total, y'all. That's a lot of money for sponges.
How do you clap?
To sync the audio. Record the audio separately than the audio on the camera.
So it's like on a clapper?
Just your job.
Okay.
He said this one is big, so he thinks it was expensive. Okay, how much do you think it is for one sponge?
$5, $10, depending on the
So these ones are from
quality.
Sephora. So these are $20 each.
I can get you one down at the market for way cheaper. $165.
Oh, that was good. $200.
Oh, what the heck.
But thanks for playing. That is like my big review on all the sponges that I have in my collection. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I will link all the sponges down below for your viewing pleasure. Before you go, make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you liked it or found it helpful. Let me know down in the comments if there are any sponges that I missed that you guys like, or if there's any sponges that I mentioned that you guys have a different opinion on. Anyways, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. That helps me out so much. I also have a couple new videos here, so make sure you guys check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.